decided 10 years ago that I would go down the natural path, that I didn't want to go down the medicine pathway. So I knew of New Start. I knew that God had given us 8 laws of health, and I knew that if I wanted healing, that I had to do what God had asked me to do. So I decided that's the way I was going to go. And I had got in contact with a lady in America, and she had given me various hints and bits and pieces that I needed to follow, so that's what I did. But in the 10 years, no matter what I did, no matter how hard I tried to do what God wanted me to do, the cancer continued to grow. And it had got to a point last year where it had actually attached itself to the skin and was threatening to break through the skin. And I didn't know what that meant, but the doctor said to me that it meant that it would be all yucky and smelly and oozy and pussy and all that kind of stuff. Well, praise God, that never happened. It did break through the skin though, but again, God had his hand over me. It broke through the skin in the shape of a scab, a rather large scab it became, about the size of my thumbnail. When I had got to that stage, I was starting to get quite concerned about, okay, God, what do I do next? Where do I go next? And I contacted a lady in Albury Church, and she said, there's a program you might be interested in going to look at. It's called the Maker Heals. Well, my ears pricked up straight away because that was what I was wanting to do. I was wanting to go down that pathway of what God wanted me to do. On the way down to the Maker Heals, I heard a voice say to me, this is your last chance, Jan. And I'm thinking, okay, this is my last chance. When I got down to the Maker Heals, there was many, many things that I found out about myself and about my spiritual walk. Because you know what, the biggest thing that happened to me at the Maker Heals was not so much physical healing, but it was a spiritual healing within me. It was where I realised that even though I had wanted to follow God's way, I hadn't been. I'd been doing the 8 laws of health, the Jan Hastings version. That's the best way to do it, isn't it? But then I found out at the Maker Heals that that's not the best way of doing it. To do God's 8 laws of health, it has to be his way, not my way. I also learned that I had an idol in my life that I tried to get rid of. Andre said earlier that we were talking about people who had addictions to either television or computers, games or whatever. I found out at the Maker Heals that my addiction was my appetite. Whatever my taste buds said, that's what I would do. Yes, I'm going to have that to eat. I didn't go all down the path of, going ballistic and having like a dozen donuts or anything else like that. But during the Maker Heals, I think it was the 6th day we'd done, as Christine said, some of us here know what it's like to be hungry. Over the 6 days that I'd been there, the Sabbath of that week that I was there, the 10 days I was there, was the turning point for me. And that Sabbath, Bruce spoke and a couple of others spoke as well about faith. Because all through my journey, I'd always believed I trust in God. Doesn't matter what else happens, I trust in God and he can lead me in the way that he wants me to go. But I found out on that Sabbath, I didn't have the faith that I needed. I believed God could heal me. God can heal every one of us. But I didn't have that faith that God would heal me. And it was when people were talking about the woman with the 12 years of blood issue. She believed that if she just touched Jesus' hem, that she would be healed. That was the faith that I was lacking. That night, I went to bed. I was too tired to have a shower because emotionally, all this thing had started to go around in my head. I went to bed that night and I prayed to God and I said, Lord, Give me the faith. I believe, but help them my unbelief. In faith I pray, and I know that you can heal me. In faith I tell Satan to leave me alone, to get out of my life, that I don't want anything more to do with him. And this went on for about 5 minutes. And then I just got up, went to bed, and the next morning I got up and had a shower. When I was having a shower, I thought, something's different here. And I had a very crude way of measuring what size the size of the lump was in my breast. It was about that size, if everybody can see that, about the size of a mandarin. When I did my little crude measurement, I thought, that's shrunk. That has shrunk by about 1/3. God had stepped in and he said, you have now stepped in faith and accepted the fact that I will heal you. And he has shrunk the tumour. Since that day, God knows, I can't take it all away from you straight away. I'm going to do it gradually. Since that day, it has been slowly shrinking. The scab has gone from the size of my thumbnail, to the size of my little pinky nail. It is starting to detach from the skin, and I know that God is doing a work in me that he needed to do a long time ago, over 10 years ago. So I praise God for allowing me, for introducing me to the Maker Heals. And I know that when we follow God's 8 laws of health, and Sister White actually tells us that the 8 laws of health are as divine as the 10 commandments. Our body is a temple, and I'm starting to realise that I need to treat it sacredly. And I praise God for all that he's done in my life. Thank you.